Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Let's Welcome to another episode of Stuck Between a Rock and a Hard Place. I have my co-host here, Jay. I am Greg, and today's topic, I think, is one that is extremely important to not only just homeowners, but renters, somebody house sitting, anyone inside the home, and that is locations of certain things in the house.
Super important.
Yeah. These things might not come up until, let's face it, when you're in dire need of it. There's an emergency that happened in the house and you need to locate something. That is not the time that you want to start searching for this. You want to prepare for that.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're a homeowner, you don't walk in a house, you don't just live in a house. The house is a living thing. It goes through seasons. You're going to have problems that occur, some things you're not ready for, and there are large portions of your home that you need to protect, you need to change out, you need to maintain, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Some of the larger items in your home that you will need to be able to locate at a moment's notice, whether there's an emergency or not, be able to identify, be able to work, and be able to maintain, because that's your job as the homeowner, and to, making sure that is a valued investment for you and your family for years to come. So,
yeah.
Why don't we dive right into it?
That being said, we're going to start off with, I think, probably one of the most important things to know of, and that is the water shutoff, the main shutoff in the house, because that can cause huge issues and major damage if you do not know where that is.
Absolutely. I've talked to a lot of people and they're not actually sure where it's at, and you're going to be in a real dire straits if something happens and you need to find that thing at a moment's notice.
Yeah, because water is going to cause some major damage, and if you can shut off that main, cause less water to get into you can essentially trap and maybe keep it into a manageable disaster.
Sure.
It's still going to be probably a disaster.
And depending on how much renovation you had in your home, you have a finished basement, your water main could be in a closet.
Yes.
It could be behind the stairwell. I have seen them in some very tricky situations. And you want to be able to label that and have everybody in the house know what you're dealing with when you're shutting off the water.
I mean, perfect example of that is mine is in the utility room, and they decide to put storage shelves there, and there's literally a notch where the turn knob is, so you can barely get a hand in there. Oh, okay. Yeah. So you got to be prepared in my house for it. That's going to lead me right to the next one, and this one probably people mostly know where it is, but if you don't, it's the electrical panel.
Yes.
I mean, how many times have we tripped breakers? And if you don't know where that is,
you're in the dark.
Literally.
Bad example and funny story, but the fact is that a lot of people don't even know where the electrical panel is. And if they do know, they certainly don't know or have their breakers labeled with it throughout the house.
Yeah. And that's going to lead to actually another one. But there is a tool that I actually have, because a lot of people, their electrical panel is not properly labeled. Mm-hmm. And there are tools out there where you can plug into an outlet. It has adapters where you can actually insert it and screw it in like it's a light bulb, and then go down and use the wand, and it will identify what breaker that is on.
Yes.
And that saves you a huge, huge time, because otherwise I'm calling you over, sending you up into the room with the old lamp, plugging in, and...
Okay, I'm here.
We're screaming at each other from all the way halfway across the house.
Correct.
If it's on or not.
Correct.
So properly labeled electrical panel is definitely going to save you in the long run for sure. Now, another big one that homeowners really don't get into too much, but it can come in when you're talking a major issue, and that's the gas shutoff. There is an access point outside. Now, there is the main shutoff that the utility companies have access to, but there is one that the homeowner can access. Mm-hmm. Now, if you got fumes and smells, you want to get out of the house and you want to contact emergency right away, but there is a way to shut it off if you have to.
Yeah, and there's going to be shutoffs somewhere through the lines to each of your appliances as well. You need to know where those are. You don't want to stop the gas going to your furnace while you're fixing your hot water heater. You'll run into situations where you'll find out you need one that needs an extra shutoff, whether it be a water shutoff or a gas line shutoff. Not every home should be having to shut off the entire home of water or the entire home of gas while you're fixing one project over another. These are things that are important for you to know now and also in an emergency situation.
Yeah, and that's perfect. Now that we've hit the majors of shutting the whole house off, you should also know under the sink where the shutoff is to the water.
Sure.
Any of your systems that use water, any of them that use gas, and even any of them that use electricity, you should also know where the location of the GFCI is, say in your bathroom and in your kitchen, because a lot of times that outlet that is out and you go down to the electrical panel, none of the breakers are tripped, it's because it's tied into a GFCI somewhere that has tripped. And
correct.
It's a quick, easy fix. But if you don't know that, you're hiring an electrician?
For those who don't know, these are the outlets that have the buttons and the reset buttons on them. Mm-hmm. They allow it to trip at the actual plug instead of going straight all the way to the electrical box.
Correct.
And when they are put in line, you may have one out in a line of maybe in the kitchen 6, 4, depending on how many are in your kitchen, bathroom.
Yeah.
And it may be as simple as pushing the red reset button. Exactly. and starting this outlet over instead of having to go downstairs or being confused in the situation and again calling a pro and dealing with their charge for just coming out.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, and they're all going to be there because that's code.
Correct.
You have to have it. So definitely anywhere there's sources of water, look for that. Mm-hmm. And now that, we're trickling down from all these, but also where your gas lines run to, knowing where your furnace, your hot water tank, your AC units are, it sounds like basic stuff, but I say that because a lot of people know where that is, but they don't know where they vent to on the outside of the house. And especially, we're used to it living up here in the north. We deal with snowstorms that come through and the drifts that come. You need to be aware of where those exhausts come out, because if snow drifts up and clogs it, it's not like the gas just stays in there. It's coming back into the house, and that's where you have issues with carbon dioxide poisoning and really some dangerous issues. So be aware of that so you can make sure that they're clear. How many times have you heard of the birds making nests in these things, right?
Yeah, I had a bird make a nest in the vent out for our dryer, and I actually took the leaf blower and blew it straight out about 10 feet outside the house. But the whole point was it was on my review of a list of things to do where I found that we could have ended up later on dryer not working, blowing the dryer, clothes not drying, simple things that would have led you there. But my simple maintenance, knowing when and where to check these things out, made for a shorter project.
Yeah, and those signs are warnings, because one issue of starting fires in the house is the dryer and the dryer vents clogging up.
Certainly.
It sounds like it's not a big issue until the fire's there.
That's correct.
So definitely something to keep in mind. Also, when we're talking about these shutoffs and stuff like that, you were talking about whether you renovated and now it might be in a closet or anything like that. You also need to know the access point to your attic, because some of those might be up there.
Yeah, there are times, depending on the age of your home and how much you know about builders code. The fact is that they don't always tell you where it is. If it's an older home, there could have been renovations where they had to put it in a strange situation or a strange place. And you don't want to be caught off guard in the most dire of situations.
Now, another one that is going with these major things is your sump pump.
Oh, yeah.
Not only the access point to it, but also the discharge on the outside to make sure it's actually taking water away from the house and not just dumping it right back into yours.
Certainly.
But how many times have we even seen, I've had it happen many a times where the alarm's going off on it, and all it is the float is stuck. So the pump's not operating properly. If you know where the access point is, you can get into it, release that, and save yourself a flooded basement.
Not only is you're going to save the flooded basement that day, typically a float can be stuck and you unstick it and it's good for a couple of years.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
we're not talking about a major fix here. We're not talking about something that has to be replaced. We're talking about a calcium buildup or something that just got hinged up on the side of, the grind that is your sump pump
Yeah.
hole. So yeah, again, this is all in the whole idea of let's look at what we have. Let's keep maintaining what we have, so the home can obviously not have problems, and it is a place where safety is paramount.
For sure. And now that I kind of moved to the outside with the discharge of that, just even knowing where all your spigots are on the outside of the house. That way, when you prep in the fall, getting ready for winter, you can make sure the hoses are disconnected. You know that is now where to look for in the inside for the water shut off, so you shut that off, and then you prep that water spigot for winter so you don't end up with a freeze.
Yeah, Greg, we are talking a lot about water here. Why don't we just get to where a lot of this water even comes from? I mean, let's talk gutters here. Let's talk roofing. Why don't you give us some information about that?
Yeah. When it comes to the gutter system, one, I'm going to make sure I know where ice forms on my roof. Those ice dam points with different pitches and angles. I have one that's a major one in the house, and every fall I go out there, I check to make sure that heat strip, the clips, sometimes they come loose, they start falling down.
Oh, yeah.
And then they don't do the job that they're supposed to do. So it's ready to go. I know it's plugged in. It's actually working. And then that way I stop the ice from ever even forming. Because, ice can really damage if it gets not only just the weight of it taking down a gutter, but even it backs up underneath the roof. And then when it thaws, where do you guys think that water is going to go?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you got that nice little water spot on your perfectly...
Yeah, and gutters can be the problem, not just on the side of the roofs and the downspouts, but I mean, backup in gutters can be a foundational problem. Do you know whether you're discharging from your gutters outspouts? Are they going into the ground? Okay, do you have the pop-ups that need to be cleaned out? I mean, are these things backing up so much that they're ruining your gutter, that the water's going towards your foundation of the house, which creates all kinds of problems?
Yeah.
Are you going to find that your gutter system just isn't even working and has to be replaced? You need to know what is happening to problem solve anything, and these are the things we need to be looking at. But again, we need to know where to look.
Correct.
And that's what this podcast is about, is telling homeowners, don't be in the dark. If your panel's not working, which is a funny joke, but the point is, don't be in the dark of where these things are at, how to operate them, and what you'll need, and can you get to them in a moment's notice, because as we know as homeowners, problems are always going to creep up. And the more we're ahead of them and the more we have the knowledge of where we're at and what to do when we get there, the quicker the fix is.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a perfect example, is knowing the downspouts and the kickouts. Because up here in Michigan, we don't tie into a storm line. We literally just have kickouts into the lawn. And you just got to make sure that those are clear. When we purchased this home, there were two that were... Especially not so much the grates. The grates, I think, are actually better because they don't tend to have overgrowth as much on them. But the pop-ups, I had two completely sealed, overgrown, probably the best part of my lawn.
The grass just grew right over them.
It looked, grass was great.
Yeah.
I wish I could grow that everywhere else. But I had to tear that up. And going back to your point of your signs, like with your dryer vent, your clothes not drying, signs will be maybe a little bit of drippage coming down on your unfinished part of your basement wall or any watermarks there. A lot of people run out and go to basement waterproofer guy, and really it's not that.
It has nothing to do with
it's
that.
the gutter.
Right.
And it's not properly draining.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, these knowing where it is, checking the main systems, the most expensive portions of your home, and making sure they're in tip-top shape and have been, life cycles of filters have been changed, they're properly operating, will allow you to not only save money because You're not going to call a pro because you're going to handle it yourself. But you're going to also know that if it's a quick fix or do we have a bigger problem here?
Yeah. And to that point, avoiding a bigger problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a quick fix will save you not only on that, but what could have been. And that's a huge savings. Now, another one that probably won't lead into major damage, but good thing to know is your sprinkler systems. If you have a sprinkler system, where the control panel is to that, but also the zones and how many heads are in those zones and where they're located. I mean, perfect example, I had one, it must have been before they landscaped a certain area. I had a line running there that led to no head at all. The head was gone. And it was just dumping water there. So I'm wasting money on the water usage.
Greg, that's a fountain.
Literally.
It's not a sprinkler.
But it could lead to more issues depending on how close it is to the house. You might be dumping your own water right into
no problem.
And now you're talking foundations.
Absolutely.
And then I guess with the sprinkler systems is knowing where those lines are at. It's really hard to identify those. So if you're lucky enough to be putting in your own, snap a photo before it's all sealed up so you can get an idea of where they run, because there's no way to identify. It's just plastic piping. There's no wand that can identify that thing.
Yeah, and also any fixes you do when it comes to the sprinkler system, I mean, we have roots that get inside there. Mm-hmm. We have other electrical things that are doing. Other people are digging and building near our homes. These sometimes where you attach can pop off.
Yeah, the connections.
Exactly. I mean, the way the ground of the foundation can move every once in a while. You'll want to know where these things are, and I think tandeming on to the fact of you'll also want to know where your gas lines are, if at any possibility, or the electrical lines that are running out, or the cable lines for that matter.
For sure.
Up here in Michigan, everything gets dug underneath these days,
mm-hmm.
and if you're going to do any projects outside, you're going to want to know where those are at too. Now that's a little bit deeper. But if you do have a project, we're going to recommend that you call Miss Dig?
Yeah, for sure.
And or the electrical or consumer energies for gas, and they'll come out for free and put these tell you where your systems are.
Yeah.
A lot of times you can tell them there's a project, and they'll come out and they'll mark it all out for you, and then you'll know. Again, this is just to be thorough, but if you are going to plan on any kind of project, these are extremely important things for you to do.
Yeah, and that's one maybe you don't need to know exactly where it is, because every time the project comes up, I'm making that phone call and they're coming out. But I also, when they're out, after they're done and the flags are all set up, paint marked, I'll just snap a quick photo of that area, just because in the future, when the next project comes about, I know I'm going to call them again, mm-hmm. but I can already plan in my head I can't use the trench digger here. This is going to be more of a hand dig project, and I can plan accordingly just because of the knowledge I know of what is in that area.
That's right.
Now, heading back into the home, but still kind of exterior, is what walls in my home are exterior walls. And I say that because you need to know if that exterior wall has a water pipe in it, that's where the sink that needs, on cold days, you need to open up that cabinet to let air in there. You might need to put the drip on it.
Sure.
And knowing which one, because certain houses, depending on your layout and stuff, it can actually be a little tricky when you get through the home if that's really an exterior or not.
Yeah, I mean, and the longer you live in your home, the more you'll get used to knowing what is necessary to maintain either the equipment in it, or its heat, or its water, and its efficiency. And these things, knowing where they are, what is affecting your home, one way or the other, is going to help with all your decisions in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And now, going back to not only the location of things in the home, but what those entail, and that would be fire extinguishers. You should have them placed in your kitchen, your utility room. I have them in multiple places in the garage. I have, ones for the kitchen specifically if there's like a grease fire. but also maintaining those, making sure, right, that they're in operating order.
Well, and they have life cycles, so you're gonna look at that. I mean, you're gonna have your fire alarm systems that have batteries in them. You're gonna have one example that I had of knowing your home was an alarm system that was in our home, and it was hooked up to not only all the fire alarms, but it was also a burglar alarm. And I had been out of the country, and my son did not know how to turn the home alarm off. He was there with his grandmother and grandfather who didn't want to hear these 4 sirens alerting not only them but the rest of the neighborhood that somebody tripped it. Now if your alarm system is hooked up, to a monitoring system, sometimes they can shut it off, but ours was not. So with that being said, everything we're talking about here, and it's maybe something we need to move into, is that other people need to know how to operate your larger issues in the home as well, such as the alarm system, the water shut off. We have to communicate with our wives, with our children, with the people who are maintaining the home, how to efficiently handle these. If they could not have gotten a hold of me because I was out of country by FaceTime, then they would have never been able to shut off that alarm system, and they would have had to, they would have had to literally pull the wires out somewhere out, and same thing goes with shutting off the gas, or if in an emergency, or shutting off the water, the main, and these things, for my purposes, and I think maybe this drives us into the next situation is knowing what you're doing once you've located it, and the instructions that go along with those units. So, when we talk about these things, it's really important as a homeowner to locate them, and then to be able to fix the issues that come up with them and maintain it.
Yeah, and that's a great point too as well. In our house, I have a specific file in the office that has a file for every room. That way, if somebody's visiting, they know, okay, we're having an issue with, the fridge, or in the car, something in the garage, something major. They can go right to that. They can go in the file, and they can find the actual maintenance form, any of the warranty issues, and know where to go and be able to handle it without having to get me involved.
I think that's great. I mean, that's, like I said, that's a little old school when you're gonna do paper, file, a cabinet to have it in there. People need to know where that is. People need to know what's in there. You know what I mean? So you got to tell everybody what system you're using. What I can say is that, I learned a little from Greg, because I love the idea of doing it by room. I think that's fantastic. I think that makes a lot of sense, and everything that's needed within that room is in there, whether it's the kitchen, the bathroom. The problem that I found myself was that I like to keep things extremely separate, so I would have I would literally have, let's say, a little filing cabinet that said manuals. Okay, so now you got to go from manual, you know what I mean, to whether I had the instructions in there, whether I had the warranty information in there, and whether I had the maintenance records to it. That's questionable. And then again, did I put that in an area where people could find it? So I actually like your idea of that. Now again, that's a little old school. I've gotten into some of the newer things by using my computer, my phone, tablets, and again, I mean, I like to make notes. I like to have my notes that I simplify for the people who are going to be using my notes. So if I want to teach them how, let's say, to start the pilot light on the water heater, I want them to understand in a very simple way. And so I will literally take those notes that I've written, and I'll write them out there, and I'll slap them right up against the water heater. So somebody walks down there, they see it. A beginner could like the thing. Now again, they're less intimidated if they have a very, very just straightforward instruction. And I think that's important not only for you, but anyone else. A lot of things that we're getting in our homes are becoming extremely, intelligent. Okay, sometimes I'll think us. We just want simple instructions to get this thing running again, and to avoid a bigger problem that we have. So I think those are important information, but use that. If you are a tech person, there's apps out there that can remind you when to clean things, when to change out filters, when to do some maintenance. In fact, I've been well known to use a certain gadget that we will not name because there's one behind me that I can speak to, and it will actually send a note and a reminder to me to go out and clean, perfect. Let's say, a trap that I have to, clean out so my furnace doesn't, back its, AC unit back up.
Yeah.
So there are many ways to go about that. The most important thing is that you can find what find where the problem is and some instruction to handle it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's great, and it's a different type of organization, but let's face it, it's probably going to be the way that most things are going now, especially with the apps. I have started using the apps a little bit. I have my reoccurring lists of it's springtime, change the furnace filter, and goes through the checkpoint. Even my car, when was the last time the oil change was actually done? Different filters and that, so I can make sure I'm maintaining and staying on a proper schedule.
Certainly, and again, I mean, we've all probably been handed, if you're a homeowner, the inspection booklet that has this big long checklist of things, but a lot of people just close that up. That's gone. You'll be lucky if you found it next time you sell the home. But the real truth of the matter is, it has to be something. And I have a couple rules. It's got to be in a habit forming way that I do all my things. And then I have to be able to pass that down to people in the home, whether it's my son, my wife, so they can understand it very clear. So I use what's called my 3 C's, and it basically says you got to make sure that the information's correct. It's got to be concise and easy for everyone to deal with. And then it's got to be clean. You can't have scratches all in it, crossing things off, new passcodes, new ways of doing it this way. Just something very basic and simple, so nobody gets intimidated or worried they're gonna have something go wrong. And the other thing I want to let everybody know, and I've seen this on many times going into people who have asked me to come in their home and help, they will have great starting points where they'll put down how many times they've changed the filter and such like this, but sooner or later they don't purge all the old stuff.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that if you have bad information sitting around, okay, or old warranties or old pros that you've used, little cards and things like this, get rid of that stuff. Just like we change as people, your home's going to change. And it's, your hot water heater may be way more intelligent than your old one. So you can't use the same tactic you did that way or the same cleaning functions and things like that. Purge that old stuff. Make sure the stuff is constant, new, and consistent with what you're dealing with in the home.
And I mean, that's perfect, because you don't want to, even if you do like the old school system where you have the rooms and the files, and you're not throwing the old manuals of the old appliances you replaced 3 series ago, it's just going to make things more difficult to find, and you're just going to get frustrated. But I really like that you brought up too, when we have, say we purchased a home, all the contractors that worked on the home had their little tags on whatever they worked on. Those might not be the guys that we want to use, or they might not even be in business anymore. So I actually have a little black book of pretty much all the contractors that I trust and use, that I let whoever's house sitting for me know in case something does go wrong and they can't get a hold of me. Say, we're on a flight, can't answer the phone, and it is really a dire that you need somebody out there right away. They can go that, and they're getting the person that I would have used without having to call, neighbor Bob and be like, hey, I need help over here, and bugging him on his time.
Yeah, 2 people who don't know what they're doing at the moment, especially if you're calling a pro. I mean, that's just how it is. And you'll be surprised at how much a pro appreciates when you know your equipment, you know where it's at, you know where the certain shutoffs are, and that you can, not that much that you need to help him out, but pointing him in the right direction can obviously, especially if you're paying by the hour, these gentlemen, fix and get this project on its way or this fix on the way.
Yeah. And then I guess that's another point of, this isn't so much of stuff that are part of the house, but are in the house that are important. We travel and, our in-laws come to watch our kids, but even just having documentation of where the nearest urgent care is, where's the emergency room, who their doctor is, where their school's at, just different things like that. making sure that those people who are there are aware of where that document is in the home.
Yep.
You know.
Yep, and I mean, like I said, while we're speaking of things in the home, I mean, our home is basically a protector and carrier of all our other toys and goods. I mean, the automobile keys, automobile warranties, the automobiles, registrations. We're talking about keys to snowblowers, to the snowmobiles, your fun toys, how to operate them. Again, I'm a huge fan. Okay, of taking a little bit of instruction and putting it right on the unit. I've been known to write directly on my humidifier off my furnace, what date needs to be changed, how you're going to change this, a problem that exists, this is what you do, what the numbers I use for the summer and the winter on the humidifier. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that. Now, if you want to keep your stuff beautiful, that's fine, but at least I know where it's at and how to fix or maintain it right there on the spot. There are some very intimidating snowblowers and lawn cutting equipment out there, and it does make a lot of sense to have the instructions as easy. And of course, if something goes really wrong, where's your warranty information? Yeah. Or if, let's say, you decide to take apart one of these, you need to know that instructions and what to do and what not to do. All right, Greg, you're talking a lot about, or we're talking a lot about, having the documentation to whatever it is in the home for maintenance and things like that. We've even gone as far as some of the kids' IDs. I'll go so far as passports and other important documentation. Maybe it's your estate planning stuff. What are your feelings about using safes and locking things up?
I'm a huge fan of that, and my thing is because safes are a fireproof. And especially when perfect one you brought up was your estate planning, your will, everything like that. You want your original copies protected, whether it's in your safe or also if you worked with an attorney, I'm sure they have a copy of it. But if you can make it quicker and easier for whoever has to access that, make sure you contact that person. You let them know where it is. You keep it updated, but more importantly, they know the code and how to get into it.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of duplicates and triplicates. I mean, obviously there are things you want to put in your safe that are going to keep, obviously secret from other people if you want that type of thing. You want to keep your deed to your home in a very safe, fireproof situation. But things like passwords, codes that we're always changing, that we have to change daily, I want to make sure that they're accessible sometimes even outside the safe, and I always want to make sure that there's duplicates and triplicates in multiple areas. I'm more comfortable with that. You're going to have to figure out how comfortable you are and whether things have to be locked up. One thing that I will address is that I do think for firearm safety in a home that I think it's exceptionally important that we know that everybody in the house knows where the firearm is, firearm safety, locking out firearms, and also having a gun safe if that's what you choose to do. Now that's personal preference of mine, and I think education on a lot of this stuff is super important. But if we're going to educate some people on the important stuff, then let's educate our kids also how the water heater works. Let's educate the children, how to stop a backup in the toilets, okay, or figure out how to clear one out for that matter. So I think this goes just along with knowing what your home is, knowing that your home is important, let your family know the home is important, and how to maintain it, and where to find the information to do such things. And that we're all on the same team here. Where we live, it's important. Home is where the heart is. It's where the information should be. And how do you locate it?
Yeah. And it kind of falls right into one of my upbringings of one of my shop teachers used to always say, safety first, safety last, safety always. And preparing is one of the best things you can do to make a safer thing. Whether it's having fire extinguishers in proper places, first aid kits, not just in the bathroom, but in the garage, around the shop. And also people know where they're at and how to get to them, because it doesn't do you any favor if no one can get to it or find it.
Yeah, and I'll go back to our mantra of why we do this podcast too, and that is to inform you guys of some things that might have slipped the mind, some things that life gathers us, and sometimes we purchase a home quickly and we can't get to everything that's going on in that home. But we need to refocus that it'll serve us how we serve it. and we should be, knowing our home like you know how to drive a vehicle, knowing our home, okay, and it needs maintenance just like we have to maintenance, let's say our health. The obviously, the more you take care of it, the more you know about it, the healthier your home will be.
And that's a great point. And that hopefully our viewers out there, after you guys watch this, please go ahead and comment below anything that you can think of that we left off of our list, because that's definitely just going to help other people in the future who watch this, and they can go down there and pick up on little things, because not every home has the same things. They might have less, they might have more, and we'd love for you guys to share those comments.
Yeah, we do look at those, and remember, take care of your home because it's going to take care of you, and you want to make sure that you're above and before any problems, that you're thinking about things that, that's what we try and do. We try and make sure that any problem we're going to come across, that we've hopefully addressed it earlier, and will make it easier to figure it out, fix it, and if I have to go to somebody for some help on it, we know that we're doing the proper thing because we have come across and we've done our research and, are able to locate the problems and what the problem actually is.
Perfect. Well, that being said, we would like to thank you guys for watching the video. We really appreciate the support. Until next time, thanks for buzzing by. You take care.
Take care.
I don't think that was bad.
No, but we need a closeout.